fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe Class Star Raider Filch from the Transformers Legacy United line from Hasbro. So I have to be honest, I am not super familiar with this character. Definitely not the Filch I am most familiar with. But apparently this guy was from the comics or something like that, and it's part of the Star Raider capsule that is exclusive at Walmart. Some nice artwork here on the side, though. I think he looks really cool. I love the color scheme. Everything going on there. Got a little bit of artwork of the bird mode. I'm just going to say bird. I don't know if it's supposed to be a hawk, falcon, whatever. It's a bird. Over here, we got half of the United mural, as per usual. Got the Legacy United logo up top. Nothing really going on the bottom. And then spinning it around to the side, or the back, rather, you have the robot mode, the bird mode over here. You got the cool Star Raider logo. I think that looks pretty neat for their faction symbol. You can pretty much tell right away that this is a retool of AirRaiser. We've seen quite a few times at this point, so what's one more? I'm going to go ahead and get Filch out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. So here is Filch out of the packaging. Looks pretty good, and just to clear it up real quick, I said previously that she was from one of the IDW comics. I was totally wrong. She is from the 2015 Robots in Disguise show. So she is one of the animal-themed Decepticons from that show. Definitely, it's been a minute since I've seen that show, so I do not really remember much about it. But very cool to get her here. Like I said, I absolutely love this color scheme. And I think they did such a cool job with the head sculpt here. And it's got a very, like, comic booky cartoon style to it. It really reminds me of the Beast Wars comic they did a few years ago, where they had that kind of extra, like, Bat Maximal. And I think maybe that's what was, confusing me, getting my wires crossed there. I was kind of seeing the head sculpt and thinking of that, even though totally not from that. But I loved the design of the head. The paint on the face looks great. Those bright kind of bluish teal eyes really look nice. And just overall, I love this color scheme. You have the navy blue with the two different shades of purple. Then you have that little bit of the brighter blue to kind of, be an accent color. Just really, really cool. I think they did a nice job with it. Now, again, it is the same AirRaiser mold, so there's not really too much surprises here. We saw it first as Kingdom AirRaiser. Then we saw it as Kingdom Skywarp. Then they remolded it for Rise of the Beast Studio Series AirRaiser. Then they remolded it, although technically this is not in order, but they also remolded it as Pterosaur. And then we saw it again as Toy Accurate Pterosaur. The one that came out around the same time as Defrosting a Chicken Dinobot. Yeah. So, again, not really any surprises there, but I think it looks pretty good. Articulation-wise, not going to be much of a surprise. Head is on a ball joint, spins side to side. You can kind of look pretty far up, which is nice. If you have her, like, flying, she can kind of look forward, which is cool. Otherwise, look down decently. Can't really tilt side to side, but pretty much everything else. The hinges and the swivels on my shoulders are pretty tight. But you can see you can get a nice out to the side movement there on the shoulder. Rotate forward and back. Bicep swivel 90 degrees there in the elbow. You have this kind of like mid-forearm bend, which isn't necessarily natural, but it is used for transformation. Nothing in the wrist, but you can, again, utilize the bicep swivel. You have a waist swivel. For the hip, you can go pretty far out to the side, kick pretty far forward, decently far back as well. You have a swivel right above the knee, and you have really nice range of motion there in the knee, maybe 120 in the knee. And then you have another one of these weird bends in the mid-shin area, again, for transformation. If you want to give, kind of like a bird-like stance, you certainly could if you wanted to do something like that. Let's gargoyle-esque. But you don't have to. You can have kind of a normal stance for the leg if you like. And then you have a ball joint here for the foot, so you have a good range of motion there. Now, this is the way they're supposed to be facing in robot mode, with the kind of just arrow pointing forward here. In the box, she was mistransformed like this. And I don't know, I kind of like the big, like, bird leg out front. I just think it looks cooler, because you still have, like, the wings and everything. So it's up to you, your preference. You could easily use either side for the feet, whichever you prefer. But yeah, overall, like I said, it's a mold we've seen many times. but I think it's a good color scheme, good articulation. One thing that I think is neat, this is something that I believe is brand new for this. I don't think we've seen this before, but most of the wings come off. So for Air Razor, and I think for Pterosaur as well, they just kind of, contorted and folded up here, and it's still the same thing here with these wings. So if you want to pop them all the way out, you can. If you want her to be flying and you want the wings outstretched, you can definitely pull that off. She does come with some extra wing components. Now with this mold, we're usually used to seeing some kind of little missile or some kind of small weapon that would peg into the forearms here. They have not given us that. Instead, they have given us detachable wings. So you can, of course, pop these on here and leave them attached and just have, expand the wingspan there. Something like that. You could even have her kind of bring this around as kind of a shield, something like that. Like this. Now, unfortunately, there's no bend here because they separate, but you could kind of utilize this and wrap it around a little bit. So you could do something like that. Or like I said, just have it outstretched, or you can still fold it up the way all the other ones did, and you can just kind of leave them on there and just kind of pinned back. Like that, or you can take these off, and they suggest using them as kind of like either wings on the arms or shields on the arms, or maybe even like a blade in some case. So if I bring this around, these are a little tight, these pieces here, I have to be honest. Popping this on here, on the forearm, come along. Let's go. I'm not really sure why this is... it's a really tight connection. But there we go. Okay. So you could do something like that, where you kind of have it as like a shield on the arm. Or you could, say it's some kind of blade. Or you could have the wings like this, if you just like that look. So you honestly have a lot of options with these. You could just completely put them off to the side. And then you could kind of have some more options with how you want the wings to go. I found I kind of... either A, like everything kind of tucked all the way back like this and just having these kind of straight back like that, or it's actually kind of neat to bring these in like this and utilize the double jointed to kind of put these like as tight to the body as possible, and you can kind of do something like that, which I think looks kind of neat. So you have a lot of options when it comes to displaying the wings. And I would say even more so than the previous iterations of this mold, because they have that detachable wing piece. It kind of gives you a ton of options to display the wings. So you can come up with some cool stuff. But yeah, definitely a cool looking figure. I really like the color scheme for it. We'll go through the transformation pretty quick. Again, it's nothing new. So we're going to start off by coming around to the back, flipping the wings all the way out, unhooking this piece here and unhooking the tail piece here, and then you're going to kind of rock the entire torso. It's on this double jointed system. If I bring this up, then you can kind of get in there and see the two pins right here and here. So that this pin was down here, you're going to rock it so that it goes all the way up like that. And then when you pull this back, that will give you the space to rotate the head around. So we'll pop this around like so, and then you're going to go ahead and connect it into these bottom two peg slots, and then this will kind of sit in this natural little spot here. So peg that all in. Whoops. Let me move this. There we go. There we go. So get that all pegged in together. Then you have your bird head here. Then you're going to take those forearm bends that I mentioned earlier that were a little weird. Bend them up like that. And then you're going to just bring this in, and you can see that there is a tiny little nub right there, and that's going to fit into this little nub right here. So just bring this in and pop that in place, and it should kind of somewhat snugly fit in there. It's not perfect, but they're not going to go anywhere. There's not really a ton of room for them to go anywhere anyway. So push that in And at this point, you're most of the way done. You're going to lift this up. You can eventually, and we will eventually push it and peg it down, but we need to swivel the waist first before we do that, and then we can push that down and snap that into place. And then this is just going to rotate around, and you can see that there is a kind of trapezoidal shaped peg right there, and this peg right here. So this is just going to slide up. And then also, before we do that, we need to rotate at the thigh swivel 180, and then pop that in, and then bring this down, and then again utilize that weird shin movement, and then rotate the foot if you don't already have it that way. And we're just going to repeat that over here. So rotate that 180, bring this up, peg that in there. It's not wanting to cooperate. What are we doing here? There we go. And then just bring this down and rotate the foot and pop that up. And then it's up to you how you want to move this around and pose. But that's essentially it, although we do have to come back and connect our wing pieces. So pop this on here, and pop this one on here. And it's kind of nice, there's like a logical stopping spot you can see right there. It kind of comes up and hits in there. So that's nice. Once it's connected, it kind of just naturally stops. So yeah, there is Filch in bird mode. So the bird mode is what we would expect. I mean, there's not really anything new going on here with the exception of the wings, but I do like the design. You know, they've kind of, you know, molded the wings a little bit differently. I kind of like this little area here on the back. The tail feathers are still too small in my opinion. I wish they were a little bit bigger and covered a little bit more of this back, you know, waist area. But I do think the head looks great. I love the paint there. You have kind of a yellow eye with a blue pupil, which I think works well. You get a little bit of movement here in the mouth. Not a ton, but a little bit. You can move the head pretty much almost 90 degrees, not quite. But I do like that. That way, if you want to have her in kind of a crouched forward position, you can kind of bring the wings in, something like that, which I think is kind of cool that you can pull off that pose. So yeah, overall, you know, it's a bird mode we've seen several times. It's always been fine. This one's really no different. And you can move the wings if you want to fold these down a little bit. You have that as well, so you can kind of tuck them back. I think that's kind of a cool look. I kind of like that. So yeah, very cool. I think it works. I think that, again, I mean, I just keep going back to the color scheme, but I really like it. It's just such a great, fun color combo, and it suits this mold well. Like, I think they did a good job. I mean, I know the color scheme comes from how she looked back in the 2015 show, but still, they did a nice job with this, and I think it looks pretty great. And I just wanted to do a quick little Star Raider group shot here of all the ones that I have so far. I do have Lockdown, haven't opened them yet, and I did not get that 3-pack yet with the extra Thundertron, because I'm kind of waiting for a sale for that, because I don't really want a second Thundertron, but here we are. I like Filch a lot. I mean, I didn't really have a ton of expectations going into it. I knew it was the Air Razor mold again, and so I pretty much knew what I was in store for, and I got pretty much what I expected, but it's a really fun figure. They did a couple things differently that I really like. Having those wing pieces come off, I think, gives you a lot of customization for how you display the wings, which is really neat. It's a fantastic color scheme, a character I didn't know much about, but now I know a little bit more, and happy to add her to the collection. So definitely, if you can find this one for a reasonable price, I would definitely pick it up. Like I said, it is a Walmart exclusive, and I don't know what Walmart's doing with their distribution. I think the pre-orders, that's how I got mine. The pre-orders shipped, but then they started showing up in stores. So I have seen Filch in stores, but now my store really just has a ton of Cannonball at this point. I think it's the only one they still have. So your mileage will vary, but if you can find it in store for a reasonable price, I definitely say worth adding to the collection. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.